The Texas legislature gavelled back to order today for a special session to address a laundry list of Republican priorities left undone when lawmakers left Austin in May. Chief among them, an update of the state's voting laws. Lisa Desjardins has the story.
Judy, Democrats in Texas blocked the last voting bill by walking out of the chamber before a deadline. Now Republicans are back with a new version, House Bill 3. It includes ID requirements for mail-in ballots and a ban on 24-hour and drive-through voting. But this version drops some previous ideas to limit Sunday voting. The debate over voting rights remains hot. Vice President Harris weighed in on the Texas bill today during a speech in Washington.
You know what's going on in Texas right now? This all is designed, I believe, to make it harder for you to vote so that you don't vote.
But Republicans, including the bill's original sponsor, reject that argument. Here's State Senator Brian Hughes in a recent interview with the NewsHour.
I hear that generalization, but no one has shown me any evidence of it. This bill says that in those urban counties, that the polling places have to be distributed evenly across the county. Now, that's just straight up fairness based on where the voters live, regardless of their race, of their party, of their ethnic background, their religion. This is about making the system fair for all voters.
State Representative Chris Turner is chair of the Texas House Democratic Caucus and led the walkout in May that blocked that other voting bill. He joins me now. Representative Turner, Republicans say they are determined to pass new voting laws. Can you block them this time, and how? Our audience likes specifics.
As you know, Democrats were successful in blocking this anti-voter legislation at the end of our regular session, as you've already told your viewers. And what I can tell you is that today, on the first day of this special session, that Democrats in the House and the Senate here in Texas are more unified than ever, more determined than ever to do all we can to block Republican attempts to make it more difficult to vote in the state of Texas, a state that is already very difficult to vote in because we already have very restrictive voting laws on the books. So we're going to fight every step of the way. We are going to leave no stone unturned in our mission to defend the rights of our constituents to cast ballots in a free, safe, and secure election. And we are going to take it a day at a time. And but Republicans can expect a big fight from us on these bills.
You know, since you walked out, the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, has ruled in favor of Republicans and some restrictions they want on voting laws in other states. Also, there's more conservative pressure on your Republican governor. Could you have opened a Pandora's box here? Could it be that Republicans may be more bold now about voting restrictions and limits?
Look, I think you're absolutely right that our governor is reacting to his 2022 primary election, where he already has two opponents in the Republican primary. He's just simply in a race to the bottom with but not only his primary opponents, but I think other Republican leaders around the country in trying to appeal to and placate Donald Trump and the Donald Trump base, which is essentially now is the Republican Party. And so that's a real factor that we have to contend with because Republicans control all levers of government in Texas presently. But I think that with respect to the court decision, while that was obviously not the decision any of us wanted to see, it's very important for Republicans to remember Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act remains intact. The court decision did not in any way nullify Section 2 like they did with Section 5 several years ago. And so we still have a constitution in this country. We still have a Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And Republicans in Texas shamefully have a track record of passing laws that have been found by federal courts to be intentionally discriminatory against African American and Hispanic voters in Texas under both the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution. Whether that's redistricting plans over the last decade, our photo voter ID law, Greg Abbott, Secretary of State, 2 years ago, attempted a voter purge that federal courts had to stop. So there is a track record in Texas of Republicans violating the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution. There's a track record of courts continually defending and pushing back on those Republican attempts. So they ought to be cautious about what they try to do.
One final question. The Speaker of the House there in Texas has the power to use state troopers to force members back into the chamber, trying to avoid what you did last time. This is a serious question. Is this issue worth yourself moving to another state or hiding out to avoid that?
You're right. The Speaker definitely has the power to compel a quorum. I think it's debatable how he can go about doing that, or how any Speaker can go about doing that. But the Speaker does have authority to compel a quorum. What I would say is that those discussions, it would be premature right now to speculate. But we're never going to take anything off the table at the same time. And as I say, it's a 30-day session. It will go quickly. We're going to take it a day at a time and make the best decisions we can day by day.
I didn't hear a no there. It sounds like it's going to be a hot summer there in Texas. Representative Chris Turner of the House Democratic Caucus in Texas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.